earlier, we have to have a public hearing for that. Is there any comment for the public hearing in the room? Any comment online?
There is no comment online.
Okay, right, then I will close the public hearing and we'll return to this in the meeting. All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Public comment will occur during the meeting's public comment portion. You can raise your hand remotely or in person. Once acknowledged, please state your name and ward to include it in the minutes, and please limit your time to 3 minutes. Public comment is governed by policy BEDH. Are there any additions or deletions from the agenda?
There's not.
Okay. So we will open public comment in the room. Is there any public comment in the room? Yes, there is.
Hello, my name is Tom Harkins. I'm the Lebanon Middle School principal. I have some information about the infographics that are on the wall behind you. This is the culmination of a project that Sandra Brake, one of our special educators, and Juliana Seal, one of our sixth grade language arts teacher, had their students work on. And I just have a little blurb. This is the objective of the project, but just to give you a little background on it. So it's students will gain. If you could just turn it on to past tense, they gained. Excuse me. Students will gain insight into the Malawi community's challenges through The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, written by Dartmouth College graduate William, Kamkwamba. The narrative highlights themes of creativity, innovation, resourcefulness, determination, and resilience, serving as a model for students to cultivate these qualities within themselves. This exploration will enable students to understand the needs of their local communities better, identify key organizations and individuals providing community support, and discover ways to contribute to and advance beneficial initiatives. Students will research initiatives in the Upper Valley, interview nonprofit leaders, design collaborative infographics to showcase their findings, seek feedback from community organizations, and present their discoveries to an authentic audience. Students will reflect on their research process, collaboration process, and their next steps as contributors to their local community. So we had, I don't know how many folks came in from different communities around the Upper Valley, but they did interviews here in the school and took pictures and had time for a general sharing of experiences with the rest of the class. And then the sixth grade classes and some of the fifth grade classes went to the library and students presented their infographics. So this was just a cool project that we wanted to share with all of you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment in the room? Is there any online?
There's not online.
Okay. All right, we will close public comment for the time being and reopen it at a later date in the meeting. That brings us to our student report, and we have Mirabella Orlin here to update us.
Hello, my name is Mirabella Orlin, and I am a junior at Lebanon High School and a member of Student Council, and I am filling in for Nora Burns. She was unable to be here. Over the past few weeks, LHS has been busy preparing for spring break and completing some major academic milestones. Last Wednesday, our students took the PSAT 9 and 10, as juniors took the SAT. Meanwhile, seniors volunteered across Grantham, Lebanon, and other surrounding areas to help give back to our communities. This Tuesday, juniors additionally completed the New Hampshire State Science Assessment, the SAS testing, where LHS continues to perform strongly and high on these state assessments. Outside of academics, Student Council is planning our spring events. We're well known for our spring and winter fests. And we are working with the Lebanon Middle School Radio and Podcast Club to support incoming freshmen and give them some background knowledge coming into high school. Today we met to discuss upcoming elections and our plan to reach out to Lebanon and Plainfield District students to encourage their involvement in the Student Council. Thank you for your time.
Does anybody have any questions for Mirabelle? You have prom tickets on sale right now?
We do. They're $45, and then the week of prom, I think they go up to $50.
And when is that? That's May?
May 10th. And the theme is, I don't know if it's officially, but it's supposed to be based off of the movie Tangled. So like the lights, the purple.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right, correspondence. None, thank you. All right, so that moves us to our consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the public minutes from March 19th.
I'll make a motion to approve the public minutes from March 19th, 2025.
Motion by John, second by Richard. Are there any corrections, additions?
I have one on page 5 under 10B. That paragraph, I believe it should say KF-R.
All right, great. Thank you. Anything else? All right, all those in favor of approving these minutes? Kevin, are you here? Or were you not here? You're abstaining. All those abstaining? Kevin, thank you. I forgot he was not here. All right, we need a motion to approve the nominations, renominations, and acknowledge resignations and retirements.
I'll make a motion to approve nominations, renominations, acknowledge resignations.
Okay, motion by John. Can I get a second? Second by Richard. All right, does anybody have any questions about these? All right, I'm just reading that. I just barely got them. So we do not have a replacement grade 5 teacher. I'm assuming that is on the, they're hiring that right now. Tom? Are you in the process of hiring for a grade 5 replacement? We are. Yeah.
And we also have one of the grade 5 teachers
Oh, that's right.
coming up with the bubble
Okay.
next few weeks.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions about this? Okay. All those in favor of the nominations, renominations, and acknowledgement of resignations? Yes, thank you. All right, that brings us to SAU leadership team update. So we'll start with the superintendent's update.
I'm going to go through the couple of items that I have and then talk to you about a few other items. So first, policy GJFAB. Consider our policy at our April meeting. Like to policy. I am recommending that we continue with policy GJFAB for the 25-26 year. Right now, for Hanover Street in grades 3 and 4, we're looking at class sizes of 20. Mount Lebanon School in grade 3, we're looking at class sizes of 19. Grade 4, class size of 20. Lebanon Middle School, grade 6, about 22. Those are areas, classes that will likely be up from not be admitting students under GJFAB. My recommendation would be to continue for next year, and I will up the school board on accepted August 5.
Does anybody have any questions about that? Go ahead, Layla.
What does GJFAB stand for?
Oh, don't stand.
Okay,
They don't
great.
say, they're just coded with the New Hampshire School Board
Great,
Association.
thank you.
so-
I just want to make sure I'm not missing something obvious. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so-
So,
the policy title is admission of not students. They also have
Okay, thank you.
and usually if you look in our policy book, like things that are K have to do with certain things, things that are B have to do with the board, right? But they don't correspond to anything. It just happens. So
The filing
usually,
system.
it's a filing
Yeah.
system.
really, G is employees.
Yeah. Okay, great. Any other? Yes, Jessica.
So I just wanted to make sure that that I'm clear. When we say, when you say projected classes to be exempt from policy, we're not,
I wouldn't accept any
We're not actually saying that those classes are exempt from the policy.
I
We're
would
saying
not-
that
yeah, I'm
you
not
are going
allowing-
to
yeah, I would
refuse
refuse that,
admissions.
just class size numbers. This year, I did not allow people coming to our fifth grade at Lebanon Middle School because our
Yeah.
classes.
I wasn't sure if we should, in like documentation, make sure that we're not sort of saying that these classes are forever exempt as they go through, that it's actually based on, it's just the superintendent sort of saying like,
It's what we say in the policy.
Policy.
I think that it does say that in,
does it?
yeah, it says that she gets to decide based on enrollment and all.
Oh, yeah, no, it's that she gets the right, but it's just, this says that those classes are exempt from the policy. It's not that
that
they're,
school
it's,
So,
Right there.
I feel like I'm not being clear. I
Yeah.
get that she gets to say, we're not letting anyone into these classes because they're too big. That's totally clear in the policy. But that doesn't mean that these classes are exempt from the policy. It just means she's made the decision that on the basis of this policy, she's not admitting them, which
right.
could be confusing to folks if they're trying to read the notes. That's all. Was just trying to make that clear.
Okay. Question? Okay, or comments? All right, then we need a motion to, yes, we don't, so we're not,
Actually,
every
policy
April-
is- yeah, I think we have to say we're going ahead with that policy again.
well, because does the language say that we are just looking at it every April? Does it say we have to reapprove it every April? That's what I don't think we have to reapprove it. I think we have to.
Well, we'll reevaluate whether to continue this policy, given the cost.
I mean, we
of
can make a
taking
motion.
numbers.
I don't think that necessarily we have
Okay.
to redo it, but let's go ahead. Make a motion to reapprove.
I'll make a motion to reapprove
Sure.
policy GJFAB.
I don't know what the appropriate,
No, made modifications in policy committee. Are those coming up?
Those will come up again too. So this is just to, that we can continue with this policy and I can put out an application this
so
year.
then we'll just, yeah, so maybe we'll just say continue with the policy because we're going to do the first read and second read.
So I will amend the motion to be that we will continue with policy GJFAB.
Oh,
Okay,
second
great.
that.
All right, motion by John, second by Richard. Any other comments, questions? All right, all those in favor? Great, thank you.
All right, a couple verbal updates. So the bridge update, the bridge on the intersection of 12A and South Main Street has now reopened. We will be resuming our normal bus routes after vacation. We are currently working on sending out updates and messaging to the community and affected families this week. So we're really excited about that, and our bus drivers are excited too. So I have a couple of recognitions I'd like to make. First, Miss Greeno, the music teacher at Mount Lebanon Elementary School, was awarded New Hampshire Music Educator of the Year. So I'd like to congratulate Miss Greeno on this well-deserved recognition. So she was recognized in front of her association with her family, myself, Principal Rauch, and several students from the select chorus. So congratulations to her. Next, the Lebanon High School Library won the New Hampshire School Library and Media Association Outstanding Library Program Award. So I'd like to give a thank you to Laura Abini and Lindsay Schutz for their hard work and dedication to this achievement. Next up is some federal funding updates I'd like to provide. This year, we're anticipating a decrease in our Title I funding due to a drop in the number of students qualifying for free and reduced lunch. There are some changes of notification that have started with the state. We are not going to know our estimated allocations until after May. Contracts will go out this week for that, so it is posing a problem. And we have also been informed that we're only going to receive 20% of our allocation in July. Usually we receive the entire money. So we currently in Title I have 2.8 FTEs funded by the grant. So there's some risk that we might not have that funding for those positions. So our SAU team and our building principals have met to discuss, and we're going to move one of those FTEs to the general fund in an open position for this time being. We will also I think they said we should get the rest of the allocation in October. They weren't confident on that. So I think the federal funding is going to be a big conversation that we have going into the 26-27 school budget year. Karen DuBois did go to the ESAE conference on title funding, and they were notified that allocations will decrease in the 26-27 school year across all title grants. Some of that has been from orders and language from the Federal Department of Education, where saying title funds can now be distributed into school choice, educational freedom accounts, and things like that. So that is a topic that is on our agenda, and we're starting to meet about that, about the potential impacts about staffing across the district. So that is one change that we've made for next year. Legislative updates, as you guys had seen, I provided a two-sided summary of several proposed bills for your packet. If any of these bills are passed, they could have a pretty large impact on our future budgets. We're closely monitoring these developments, and I will provide you updates as necessary. The New Hampshire School Boards Association is also sending out updates in their weekly email. Any questions about my verbal updates? And then I'm going to move on to the Title VI certification notification. No? Okay, so in your packets, you receive the Title VI notification from the Federal Department of Education. There is one change. Commissioner Etta Blue did reach out to school districts and has extended the submission form until April 17th. If you had gone through this is verifying that we are not illegally discriminating against any groups of people. I did speak to our attorney about this certification. He did recommend that we are okay to sign this. At this point, there is an injunction being filed in New Hampshire courts this week that is going to try to get school districts not to have to sign it. So my recommendation is that we are at no risk by signing this, but I will wait until to see if the injunction has gone through.
Questions for Amy about that?
Would that mean you would propose a date based on that injunction information for us to encourage, or?
I think the
When to
court
sign, I
hearing is
suppose?
tomorrow,
Okay.
from my understanding from Attorney O'Shaughnessy. I'll have some information in non-public that I can share as well that kind of is tied to this information. But he's felt that he's reviewed our practices, our policies, doesn't change anything that we currently do. And this will just allow us to continue to receive our federal funding. As you can see, if it's not submitted by that time, your funding can be withheld.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. My last item going along to is I have a job title description change for our District Director of Equity, Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment. So this job description change has been in the works probably for 6 months now. I've been working with Karen since I have started here and just going over her job responsibilities and the work that she's doing. So after consulting with legal, given the public sentiment around diversity, equity, and inclusion, recommending that we do rechange the category, rechange the title to Director of Academics, Engagement, and Opportunity. Richard, it's in your packet.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the packet right now, and it says engagement, achievement, and opportunity.
It's updated from there, yes. I'm sorry.
Sorry, the digital version is usually
Yes.
most up to date.
I spent some time, and I know Karen's here too, and just worked on the job title that really reflected about the work that's going on and our vision and mission of the school district.
Does anybody have any questions about the job description? No? Anybody have any other questions about anything else that Amy brought up? I want to ask. I mean, I just want to say, I think it's important to, going back to the thing you said originally about the grant funding being decreased, I think it's important to say out loud for our taxpayers that when federal funding is decreased, then the state and the local school district have to make up that difference. That's an important thing to consider, that means that these grants disappear, that federal funding disappears, that percentage of our budget has to be made up some of the, it's not as if we cut out all of the programs that are already being funded by the federal government. Say that out loud so that we acknowledge that.
I did have one question about it sounds like for the Title I grant issues that you brought up, it's both an issue of timing and amount.
Timing, amount, and allocation, right? So it's sort of, we're going to get less. They're not going to tell us to after we issue contracts, and then they're not going to give us all of the money as they normally would. So this happened, I think, a few years back too, when one of our grants didn't get submitted in time. You can't retroact and submit timesheets for that time. So if the district can be responsible for that funding. So
it seems like
we're just being proactive with this year, not
Yeah.
knowing that we know we'll go down a little bit because of the number drops, but knowing that we probably need to look at just all the distribution of our federal funds with FTEs and how we look at them for the 26-27 school year.
And it just seems like even as we're starting the work on the Finance and Facilities Committee and we're budget and everything else, it seems like we should be considering the fact that even regardless of what happens with amount of grants that are wind up being sent out, sounds like timing of distribution is also on the table, which is a problem in a different way, and so we have to kind of plan a little differently for how we plan a little differently, it seems like, for some things.
Yes. The New
So-
Hampshire Department of Ed was recommending that anybody on a federal grant position, that their contract says that this position is contingent to receiving the federal funds. That's a really difficult thing to achieve with a collective bargaining unit where those positions are in the collective bargaining unit. And the seniority pieces are at play as well.
Do we know how many, and do we have a count on how many folks we have who are on?
Currently in the Title I, it's 2.8. I would have to connect with Ben about IDA. I think it's 7 or 8 of that. So in a future meeting, probably in May, I think it would be good for this group to look at our federal funding and how it is spread out and our use of that, just so we know the impact for that 26-27 school year.
It seems like we should be kind of
Absolutely.
looking at it overall.
Yeah, like, so for that, Title I is free and reduced lunch, but that's based on those numbers. We have Title II grants, which is teacher professional development. It's roughly around 100,000. Title III, we don't receive funding that for English language learners because we don't meet the benchmark. We receive Title IV-A, which is well-rounded students, so a lot of technology, there's like some equity piece in there that they have funding, some musical instruments we pay for there, and then the Title V grant is the rural education grant, as well as the IDA grant, which is obviously for students with disabilities. Okay. And then the free and reduced lunch, the federal food project numbers too, right? School food, that would be considered federal funds.
So, I mean, I'm sure this is on everyone's radar, but if it's possible to do some kind of a presentation soon to give us an overview of all of that, it would be very helpful to wrap up.
Yeah, and maybe we should look to see at the end of May when we have hopefully our allocations for next year. Then we'll be looking to see kind of at that area level, then knowing that would go down. So hopefully that we get that.
I think it's important for not just the people in this room, but for everyone in the district who pays attention to know what that money goes toward, what happens if it goes away.
And what percentage of the whole it is.
Yeah, from the budget.
I guess I have a question regarding if the state of New Hampshire, other school boards, other districts are also maybe communicating about their plans or concerns, or if this is kind of being taken as a group to understand what does it mean if the federal funding is removed from New Hampshire.
Sure, I'm going to have Karen come up. I'm sorry, this is one of our, there's a parent up there. Karen, come up. Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm sorry. Just Karen is, she had just recently attended the Federal Grants Conference in Manchester and had learned a lot of information and was able to share information from other people around the state. So thank you.
So to be clear, I manage our federal title grants, and our grants that are devoted to special education services are managed by Ben. But so technically, our federal title grants are for, they supplement our general fund. They don't supplant the general fund directly. That's an important parameter. And as far as what is being talked about statewide, many districts employ staff under their Title I grant in a different way from how we do. And they employ them as part-time employees, not on their union contract, and those contracts do always come with a caveat that they're contingent upon the awarding of the federal grant each summer. That's a more typical way of deploying the grant to staff positions. And I think we are having meaningful conversations at the leadership level around moving in that direction. That would protect us more and be really a more recommended practice. They were very clear at this conference that this year more than ever, they strongly recommend, almost bordering on insisting, that anyone employed under a federal title grant funds have that caveat added to their contract. And we're not in a position to do that right now, but we've been proactive in shifting, as Amy said, one FTE into an open position, and we're going to look to, should we receive funds in excess of what we think it may be, and we'll look to use those funds to staff in that other way. So we sort of have draft plans in place, which we could share with you in May in more detail. Does that sound like it answers your questions for now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just want to emphasize for the immediate conversation, the issue is related to the October numbers of free and reduced lunch. That's the potentiality of reduction in title funds that we're talking about in the immediate. So our numbers have rebounded since then, but unfortunately the October number. So as I understand the long-term conversation, but this immediate one is about the free and reduced lunch numbers more than money business.
Any other questions, comments on that? Okay, great. Let's see. We are going to go on to the Director of Student Services presentation.
All right, good to see everyone. Welcome, new board members. Haven't met you yet, Joe. All right, I'll try not to drone on too long. Amy did make me pare this down earlier, so thanks to her for that. All right. So just, again, there's some new board members here, and I'm certainly new to the district, so I thought I'd just take a quick minute to kind of go over what Student Services covers. And it's essentially special education, 504, our English language learners. I'm the Title IX and Civil Rights Coordinator. You see that in your policy. I have some level of oversight in regards to mental health and nursing at the SAU level, and then court-involved students, at-risk students, students that don't do well in sort of a traditional system. That's in my purview. And then there's various categories that kind of fall under each of those. So we're going to focus on special education primarily, and then I'm going to wrap up with just some action steps that have been done already and some intentions that we have, or I certainly have. So here are some basic numbers. This is from 23-24. This is information that the state puts out every year. Just highlight a couple things here. So the district identification rate, students with disabilities, 16.3, whereas the state average the same time last year was 18.56, which is pretty pretty much tracks. If you go back to 2014, Lebanon tends to stay a couple points under the state average. 16.5% is where we're at right now based on my calculations. It could be off by a tenth of a point there a little bit, but based on the numbers now, we're at about 16.5%. So I think this was the next slide that I had queued up. This gives you a basic overview of the district in regard to total enrollment. And again, I pulled these out of ALMA, so don't quote me on any of these numbers specifically. They could be off a little bit because there's always little things in there that skew the data, but this gives you a rough estimate. So the first column shows your enrollment by building and then total enrollment. And then the second column shows number of special education students total and by building. And so that number, I believe, is 247, the purple bar with the arrow. Am I correct? Okay. And so that's the total number of students in our schools in town, right? This does not account for the 26 students that are foster placed or at ledgered or in out-of-district placements or hospitalized. So there's a chunk there. So 273 is the total number of special education students we have. So the 16.5% identification rate currently is based on 273 total special education students in district now. One thing that's not displaying there is if you factor out those 26 students, our rate for in-district is 14.9%, right? So a little bit lower as expected. Our neediest students are outplaced in various ways. This next slide is 5SRVER. Let's see. Oh yeah, so I'll just keep talking while Tyler's working. Thank you, man. So this gives you a quick little snapshot of the disabilities district-wide. Speech or specific learning disability is primary. That's the large pie slice at the top. And then and then OHI, other health impairment, on the left. That's the second largest, I think. And then the third would be developmental delay, which is our younger students below age 9. So that just gives you a little picture about the, incident of disabilities, right? And again, please jump in with questions if you would like to, stop me with anything. So next I'm going to touch on staffing, just give you a quick snapshot of that. So we have one occupational therapist that works for us and one certified occupational therapy assistant for the district. We have 6 total speech staff, 5 speech pathologists, and 1 SLA, or speech language assistant. And these numbers, I believe, have been fairly static for a while, is my understanding. We have a part-time physical therapist for students that need that level of support. The X over on the right-hand side indicates whether the individual is contract or not, meaning an employee of the district versus someone that we contract with an agency for their services, which you have to do a lot these days because many of the specialists are difficult to locate, difficult to find, we have one school psychologist.
Sorry, do you have an idea of how many specialists are contracted? Sorry, is that like a frequent thing? So there's quite a few people that aren't on here that are more specific per student.
You're going to love my next slide.
Love it. Thank you.
All right. We have For school psychologists, the one that we have at Mount Lebanon School this year is part-time. And that was due to the fact that the market was very tough and we weren't able to offer people what they were used to getting in other venues. So this is a little bit hard to read, but I'll kind of walk you through it. The first is Mount Lebanon School, and it just shows the number of special educators at that school. I also included principal and assistant principal at the top there. And then in green, I've highlighted any special programs that are in our schools. So the first three green bars are preschool. There's 3 preschool teachers at Mount Lebanon School. The green bar under Mount Lebanon there indicates that there is a INP program for students with behavior challenges. That's new this year. It was something that we applied for last year, and it serves a small group of kids. And that program is staffed by a special educator that's essentially half-time in that program, and then half-time special educator for the building at large. On down, we have Hanover Street. You can see the special educators there, the number rather, and then the 2 bars indicate the INP program. This is intensive needs program or self-contained program. These are students that would be considered students that are life skills students that are working on activities of daily living and things of that nature. Typically they'll have pretty significant cognitive delays and so forth. The next is the middle school. Same setup there, and we have one INP program there, so there is somewhat of a continuum of services from elementary on, which is typical and ideal. And then I forgot to use my arrows. Well, there we go. Look at that. And there we go. Sorry about that. And then we have one INP program at the high school. Just one note on INP programs is they come and go in my experience, and it's based on the cohort of kids you have coming through, so it really changes over time. So that's just something to keep in mind for, as we, look to the years ahead. The line in yellow is a position at the high school that is not necessary next year at the high school and is going to be reallocated. Okay. This gets to your point, Layla. Here in a moment, we have one out-of-district coordinator, Courtney Mott, who covers all of our students that are outplaced. The yellow bar again, the social work position. Again, that is going to be reallocated. And then the last section is your related service providers. So TVI is teacher of the visually impaired. BCBA would be a board certified behavior analyst, teacher of the deaf, and then the 2 psych slots there are the consult and direct service we get from Deer Creek, Dr. Chen and his team. There's a lot of other lower incident providers we bring in. I didn't put them all in there, but it's based on, if a student has some kind of audiological issue, we'll bring in an audiologist, for a period of time. So they're not with us very often. Sometimes they're here a lot, and then some years we don't see them because it's all about who we're serving at the time. Any questions so far? Okay, good, okay. Yep, big yellow bar, forgot to do that again. I'll just do it again just so you can see. And now we'll talk about contract service. There we go. So I want to show some slides on our paraeducators, mainly the numbers and where they're assigned. This is one of our lovely paraeducators on the left from Mount Lebanon School. And I just thought, wow, what a great picture. So I put that there. The other one, these are not paraeducators. This is Superintendent Amy Allen and Katie Roach, principal at Mount Lebanon School. But that was a nice picture too, so I thought I'd squeeze that in. Okay, thanks, Amy. Yeah. So I'll run through these quickly. This is the Lebanon High School and shows you the number of paraprofessionals total, as well as the breakdown by how they're funded. So the orange bar is special ed paraeducators, and the blue bar is regular ed paraeducators, and then the green bar is library assistant. And each building has one library aide. So that's the high school. The next tab is the middle school. You can see I have a total of 24 there, and the breakdown is a little more striking. Next is Hanover Street School with a total of 38, a little more even split in terms of regular ed paraeducators that push into our younger classrooms and offer general support versus the special ed paras that are typically assigned to a small group of kids or one kid. Mount Lebanon School, we have 13 and 13 for a total of 27, including the library para. And then here's the breakdown by building with a total of 100 and, when it catches up, there's a total of 105 paraeducators in our district currently. And that's what's budgeted for FY26, I believe, as well.
So, just a quick question. So, am I to understand? I just want to make sure I understand what I'm looking at. That the bars indicate basically the funding.
Yeah.
Well, not this, but
This does, yes.
right. Yeah. So not this one, but the other ones were indicating funding sources.
Right.
So the special, so and the special ed is the this maybe is a stupid question, but I just want to make sure that's all IDA, that one, how much of, what percentage of that is funded by the
we do
federal
not-
grant?
We do not fund
versus
any of our
not.
paras out of IDEA.
Right.
These are all general fund.
Right.
1200 function code, which is special ed, but they're all general fund.
Right, okay.
Our IDEA, a number of years ago, we switched, there was paras in there, we switched paras and teachers, because these are numbers that were in the budget that you just approved. And so the problem with paras is that, there's always movement. So we went to teachers in IDEA because
Right.
paras are always sliding in and out and moving around. So this is what was budgeted in the budget that just got approved.
Okay.
So it might be a slightly different in a particular building at the moment, as far as whether regular ed or special ed, but in Mount Leb for next year, there's 27 in the budget, split up that way.
Do we have any concern about the state providing the special education funding that we're kind of relying on to provide for the staffing at this time? Or?
Okay. I think there's lots of concerns. We did, I think, a presentation with Ben talked about some of the notification from Commissioner Edelblue about the reduction. They did say they would fund a little more. I know Governor Ayotte is looking to fund special education, but again, we don't have those numbers there. So we've been looking, and I want to thank Mr. Nestor and the special education team across the district to looking at our existing resources, how they're distributed, and how best that we can meet the needs of all of our students.
Thank you, yeah. And Tim pulled these numbers, so thanks to Tim for that. He gets credit for that.
Depends on whether they like the numbers or not. You get their opinion and then say I did it.
Well, I say that because if they're wrong, then it's,
Luckily, we haven't had a hard time filling positions. They sometimes come and go, but we seem to be able to fill them when people leave.
yeah, we are very lucky. Here's just the last slide on the paraprofessionals, just a breakdown with a pie chart, so you can see it in that format. Let's see here, one more slide and we will wrap up. Not paras. In terms of what's What's next? The things on the left are actions we've already taken or are in the process of taking. So the pre-K planning committee, we've met twice. Kudos to Elizabeth Bailey at Mount Leb for really spearheading that. We've met, and the intention behind that is to, well, there's a lot of variables we're looking at. One or several of the variables are the number of students, age 3 and 4 that are coming our way from early supports and services that have services. The number is growing, right, around the state. It's getting bigger, and so Lebanon, along with every other school district, is looking at ways to continue to provide early intervention, but do it in a fiscally responsible manner. So we're going to be doing some site visits in the fall, seeing what other districts are doing, and then we've got a couple contingency plans we're already working on for that, and other proposals that we'll bring to the superintendent and the school board around programming and staffing for that. The next one is district-wide mental health team, and this is, our all of our mental health providers, school psychologists, school counselors, and on down the line. We've been able to meet 2 times this year during the professional development days, and my intention was just to bring these folks together so that they could begin to talk about what they do in each building, because it looks a little different depending on what building you're in, and there is some value in establishing consistent protocols in that regard. We have a lot of good practitioners, and so it's important, I think, to me to have a good handle on what everyone does and where one person's role overlaps and one starts and stops and so on. But anyway, they did, at least they told me to my face, that they appreciated the time together. Who knows what they were thinking internally, but I thought it was productive. The next one is a biggie. We're just starting to do this work. We met with admin Monday on this, as well as last week, but we're going to be putting together a paraeducator usage committee. I envision this as a multi-year project to identify how we're using our paraeducators around the district to support students' needs across the board. So more to come on that. We've also talked with some of our paras, Karen Dubois and others, about a more robust para onboarding program, and maybe a sort of a boot camp type concept that we're fleshing out. Again, I have a lot of ideas, but I don't want to steamroll the stakeholders, right? And then lastly, next year we're establishing a special ed district leadership team, and this is to look at some of the more granular data that the state provides us in the way of a report card, essentially. And so I won't bore you with that, but that's something that's happening next year as well. In closing, I'll just touch on the 2 things I underlined that are top of the list for me, and that is beginning to work on consistency between buildings and how we do things. I asked that all of our special ed coordinators attend a conference in Portsmouth with me in March, and Amy and Karen attended as well, and it was good content, but also the side, or the, what's the word I'm looking for, the real reason behind it, if you will, is to really get people together, start to spend time together, build relationships, so that we can be more of a unified unit. Because students that go to Mount Lebanon School wind up at the middle school, right, Tom? So it's important work to do. And then lastly, there's always work to be done on putting together, systemic protocols and just streamlining things. Anyway, I'll stop there. I could talk all night. Anyway, thank you. Questions?
Thank you. Does anybody have any additional questions for Ben? This is really helpful. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Sorry, I do have one.
Oh, just kidding. Jessica has a question.
I had to process. So thank you for the presentation, and I think that looking at your things we're working, top priorities, things we're working on list, it was great to see, partly because those are big ticket items in terms of our budget and in terms of things that are unknowns and things that we know are going to be important going forward, but are kind of big. I'm wondering how you are incorporating kind of board and community back into those processes. And when that will happen, yeah.
I mean, I think we could do it a couple different ways. One, we could invite community and board members to join committees, right? That's obviously a common way to do it, like the strategic plan or something. I mean, another way to do it is, we work as a smaller team, come up with a proposal, bring it to the superintendent and ultimately the board. So I think it might depend on the scope of the committee. Again, not a fully formed thought.
I think it just looking at those items, I feel like it would be great to have some to maybe talk about that with Amy and others. But I think that those are going to be some pretty important items in the next couple of years, and I think that probably the results will be better if the board and the community kind of have some input into the process earlier, and they aren't just presented with a proposal or two that they don't really like at the end of something. So earlier kind of feedback of some kind might produce good. But
right.
Looks great.
That makes sense to me.
I had a question. I know you said that INP money is kind of variable due to kid rotation. Who sources INP money? Is that just from the kind of?
It's from the general fund.
It isn't from the general fund.
Yeah.
Okay, just double checking. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Let's see, that moves us on to unfinished business. Actually going to have a motion.
I'm going to make a motion to receive and file the discussion and action policy ACAA-Prohibition, sexual harassment policy, and grievance procedures.
I'm going to second that.
Okay, motion by John, second by Richard. Do you want to?
Sure. At the April 23rd meeting, you will be getting the first reading of AC, which is our discrimination policy, ACAA, our harassment policy, ACAB, which is harassment for employee policy, and the procedures. So they will all come at once at the next meeting.
Okay, great. Questions about that? All right, all those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. All right, that brings us to new business. So first is discussion and action on our approval to withdraw money we talked about at the public hearing from the Special Education Expendable Trust Fund. Just to review for people who are new.
So in the information sheet, you see this during the budget 2 years ago, we talked about the budget was going to be $250,000 higher, and we wanted to take money from the cap reserve fund for special ed. What the DRA said we had to do was reduce the budget by $250,000. So that was cool, and we were actually going along pretty well, but we did get some high cost out of district placements in the last few months. So the board is, the way it works is we have these cap reserve funds. Money can only go in by the voters, but the voters have given the board the power to be called agents to expend. So with a public hearing, which we had today, and a vote of the board, you can remove money from any one of the cap reserve funds to fund something that's relevant to the cap reserve fund. So what I'm asking is that there be a motion to remove $189,907 to cover the cost between February when these placements happened through June. If these placements continue, they'll be either in a budget discussion next year about the placements themselves. One of them is like over 400 for a full year. But 189,907 gets us to June 30th.
Great, go ahead, Richard.
Oh, if you asked,
I thought you were ready. You were like,
I was going to
ready.
give a motion.
Excellent.
To that.
Go ahead.
I move that we move $189,970 as requested to cover the cost of the aforementioned placements through June 30th, 2025.
That work?
Did you say 907 or?
No.
189,907.
907.
Okay, great. All right, can I get a second? All right, John, motion by Richard, second by John. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor? Great, unanimous, thank you. Okay, next, we are going to have discussion action on approving a donation of $10,000 from the Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation for a manufacturing project at Lebanon High School.
Some background information. So this $10,000 will go towards a ski press in the makerspace. The ski press will allow students to create fully functional showroom quality skis while offering them a hands-on experience in manufacturing and an in-depth understanding of design and engineering principles in a factory setting. So I'd like to thank Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation for this generous donation.
When we approved the program of studies, we approved this new woodworking ski building course at the high school already. And I think people have already registered for it, so glad to have the press. We, as always, thank the Byrne Foundation for their generosity. Does anybody have any other questions? All right, so we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the donation of $10,000 from the Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation for a manufacturing project at LHS.
Okay, motion by John, second by Richard. All those in favor? Great. All right, that moves us to the next discussion and action on the approval of a $6,000 donation from the Lebanon High School Beautification Fund to the Special Revenue Fund.
So this is the second time we've asked for this. According to our auditors, so quick background, there's a beautification fund, for lack of a better word, that we set up. There are obviously classes collect dues. And so over a period of time, not all that money has been expended by the time the class leaves. So a few years ago, we asked our auditors, what do we do with the $2,000 from the class of 2015, whatever. And so Pam Spalding actually reached out to all the past presidents and got a hold of them somehow and got them all to agree to commit their money to this beautification fund. That lives in the student activities fund, which is a separate fund from some of our other funds. So our auditors, so now how do we use that money to beautify the campus? Our auditors recommended doing a donation from the beautification fund, which is a student activity fund, which is money raised by students for students. Basically, those students are authorizing that money to go to our special revenue fund, which is money that might be raised but can be used for non-student activities. So we did one donation for some signage at the high school and the gym. What we want to do with the 6184 is put a split rail fence up around some of the new grass area from the construction. Hopefully keep kids from walking all over it. I think that's right. I had asked John B here if he might have any other background, but the idea is to put a split rail fence, which is a nice fence, not a chain link fence, but something to try to keep people walking on the sidewalks. This is a request. It doesn't come from John and me, it comes from Ian. So we feel like it's good use, but we'd like to donate the money to you guys to approve the donation from the one fund to the other.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions? I'd make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the donation of $6,184 from the Lebanon High School Beautification Fund to the Special Revenue Fund.
Okay, motion by John, second by Layla. All right. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor? Great, unanimous, thank you. All right, now we're going to acknowledge the $500 donation by Healthtrust for Wellness Incentives staff.
Part of our Healthtrust program is they do donations for wellness. So in the winter, they did tracking for shoes. So people would have to complete like a safety quiz, and then their name would go in for a raffle for safety events. So I thank Healthtrust for their donation.
Great, then we would like to thank them for their donation, and we are sure that our staff will appreciate it. Then we'll have discussion and action on the job description for the Director of Communication and Community Relations.
Sure. As you know, our Director of School Partnerships and Community Relations is retiring at the end of the year. In this past budget, we had proposed to make that position year-round and with a focus of communication as the primary piece and the secondary of community relation. This aligns with the superintendent goals, the district goals, and board goals, and I hope to see what you get to propose in the future, a strategic plan. So this is the proposed job description for the Director of Communication and Community Relations, which would start July 1, 2025.
Does Anybody have any questions for Amy about this position? Okay, so we need a motion to approve the job description.
I'll make a motion to approve the job description for the Director of Communication and Community Relations.
Okay, motion by John, a second by Joe. All right, all those in favor? Great, unanimous, thank you. Right, then we're going to discussion and action on approval of the copier lease resolution.
What's so funny?
Tim, copier lease resolution is just funny.
Oh, sorry.
It's very dramatic
We
sounding.
feel
Go ahead.
very resolute of these leases.
I'm resolved. I'm just giving in. All right, so the background on this is that we as a district have been leasing tech equipment, copiers, and buses as appropriate since before I got here. It allows us to smooth out the costs of these items over a few years. It hasn't been a problem, it's still not a problem, but as a result of talking to our attorney and actually the IRS randomly audits stuff, the first thing they asked for is a resolution, and I was like, we don't have a resolution. So everything's been fine because I've been able to provide budget minutes, board minutes, showing that the leases are in the budget, et cetera. But it's best practice according to our attorney, and I think what I'd like to do going forward is that every time we do one of these copier leases, we have a resolution that we can just say, here's the resolution board. So instead of me I have to go back through minutes from 2 years ago and pull out the budget discussion minutes where we talked about a lease. This is a less messy way, a cleaner way to do it. So what we would need is the motion that's at the top of the resolution to be read, and you guys vote on it, unless you have a problem with it. But this is the copiers that were in the budget. It's $40,000 over the course of 3 years, so this stuff's all budgeted.
This is for copiers, not
Yes,
copies.
Copiers, yes,
Okay.
copy machines.
No, I'm just, because the resolution says copies twice.
Well, thankfully, the lawyer sent me the Word version,
Oh, good.
so I will fix that before we
Thank
sign
you.
it. That's a good catch. I didn't read that.
$40,000 for 4 copies sounds like a pretty high price for a few pieces
Well, you know
of
what we're
paper.
paying for paper these days. No,
Well, there are some tariffs. There's some tariffs
so
on the
read
pulp coming from
read
this.
copiers, please.
Well then, okay.
I'll make a motion to move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize $40,795 of lease purchase financing of 4 new copiers and accessories at district facilities be approved in form presented to this meeting, and that an attested copy of said resolution be included with the minutes of this meeting.
Thank you. All right, so that was the motion, very formal motion by John, and seconded by Jessica. Any additional questions, comments? All right, all those in favor? Okay, great, unanimous, thank you. Okay. All right, then we are moving to discussion and action on the approval of the use of capital reserve funds for a classroom remodel. Back to
Okay,
you.
so I'm sorry I'm so needy tonight. But John and I were discussing, and as you know, during budget time, we talked about doing the classroom renovations using cap reserve fund. We talked about it a lot during budget, but again, I guess in the theme of what I just talked about, I would love to have something in the minutes where you guys authorize us to do these renovations using cap reserve funds. There will be a different public hearing and stuff once it's done, but I would like something to be able to point to and say, here's where the board said, go ahead and do the renovation and with the intention using building cap reserve fund.
Okay,
Sense?
go ahead.
Just, the only question that I had about this was that I think technically we didn't reduce those projects from the budget with the intent, I think we technically just reduced the budget. But, John, can you remind me of that?
No, there was a reduction. We made reductions. The last reduction we made was $200,000, figure it out.
Right.
We came in with reductions that included taking the classrooms out and doing them out of cap reserve fund.
Oh, did that come in an earlier round?
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay,
The
okay.
December
Okay.
budget
Forgive me, I couldn't remember which one.
No, I understand.
Got it.
There were many.
There are many cuts.
There were rounds. There were rounds.
Okay, but that's a good question.
Okay, so technically then.
Then we do need to
We
approve.
do need, okay, got it. Great. Can I make that motion?
Yes.
Can I move that we authorize the,
NG.
sorry, I'm trying to find the
NG.
number and I'm not sure one. That we authorize the use of capital reserve funds for the classroom remodel in the amount of.
I don't,
No,
I prefer not
just-
an amount
just-
right
No,
now.
Okay,
Just not-
just that we authorize that. That is what I move.
I'm going to second that.
Okay. Good luck with that. All right, there. Motion. It was all fine. All right, so motion by Jessica, second by Richard. Any additional questions? No? All right, all those in favor? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, before we do H, we have one other motion. So in your packets, you'll see a big chart, a big list of salaries. So we just need to make a lump motion to approve the continuing contracts and second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth contracts for the LEA. We just haven't done that, so we just need to approve them. It's part of our bargaining process.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the renominations of the continuing contract LEA
Second through sixth.
and second contracts, third contracts, fourth contracts, and fifth contracts, as well as sixth contracts.
Great. Can I get a second? Second by Richard. All right, so does anybody have any questions on this? Okay. All those in favor? Great. Okay, thank you. Right. Next. Okay, next is a discussion of board scheduling from June through June. So looking ahead at the calendar, what we normally do, as you know, is meet on the second and fourth Wednesdays. Because of when our breaks have changed and because of Christmas and because of Thanksgiving, it turns out that many of our dates are during a vacation. So we have looked at the calendar and switched some of those dates so that they are happening either before a break or after a break instead of during a break. And so that we're not having like giant gaps of 6 weeks where we're not having meetings, except during July when there's like 7 weeks off for everyone. Yay. So I'm bringing this to you all just for you to sort of, for your information, to look at your calendars because it's slightly different than the second and fourth. There are some small variations in there, but also for you to know in advance so that you can plan. What we have done in the past is just as Christmas rolls around, we say, oh, we're not going to have a meeting. We got to do something else. Or as April gets close, oh, crap, it's during it. So we're going to try instead of ad hoc. So if there are big scheduling issues, you can always get back to me and talk about it. You'll notice there's a couple in December and in February. Those second meetings are if needed. The point being, if we don't have anything pressing, we wouldn't be having a meeting then, but if we did, we have it on the books. The November 22nd, that's the Saturday before Thanksgiving. We always have our budget meeting on that day, and that can be a longer day. Sometimes it can be really short. I don't anticipate it being short this next time, where we talk about all of our budget things. That is a longer one. And then the January 31st is our deliberative session. Again, that can be a slightly longer day, sometimes very short, where the city can come and talk about our budget and comment on our budget. So those are all of our, hopefully, dates the rest of the year. Questions or comments?
I have family across the country, so I frequently travel around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Is
so
that November 22nd, like, firm? Because that's, sometimes we leave that early. Just
So we
kinda putting
can,
that
so
on the
you will
radar.
you're paired with someone for the building that you're representing, which is LMS. You're paired with John. You're gonna be fine. So you would be there for all of the budget discussions with that building, and then you just sort of wouldn't be there for this final deliberation, but that's okay. And you can also, if you want, you can always zoom in, depending on whether you're traveling or not, but that's just an option that you don't have to do.
Thank you, just double checking.
Yep. Any other questions? So this is just for your information, to put it into your calendars, so we're all on the same page. Great. Let's see. So we're going to open public comment back up per policy BEDH. Is there any public comment in the room? No. Is there any online?
There's no public comment online.
Okay, we will close public comment again. Let's see, committee updates. So Finance and Facilities met on, that's wrong, April 21st. Oh, it's will meet on April 21st, sorry. We'll meet on April 21st. They met on February 10th at 4:15. Their next meeting is April 21st. And do we have a time for that meeting?
We use 5 o'clock, right?
5, okay. Policy Committee met on April 7th. Their next meeting is, do you know?
Not off the top of my head.
May 8th?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's Thursday, May 8th.
Okay. 8th,
Did we-
great.
No, we are meeting on a Monday, aren't we?
I don't know, I have to look at my
Yeah,
notes.
it's the Monday. It's
the
the
Monday?
first Monday in May, I believe.
It is, I'm sorry, it's May 5th.
5th, okay.
That's a good amount.
EC was Thursday.
Yes,
That's where
we're
I,
next.
sorry.
All right, so then,
Couple of minor updates,
yeah.
just so that people know these things
Yeah.
are coming. We are sending a couple of new policies to people to look at, so we are looking at a draft of FBC called Efficiency and Sustainability in School Operations. So this will be combining 4 existing policies on energy conservation, sustainability regulation, and energy efficient equipment and appliances into a single, much more up-to-date, not 12-year-old policy. And that's going to Finance and Facilities. So you guys are getting a crack at that before.
We did, and then we didn't do anything with it in the fall. We had 4 of them that
now they've been combined into
they've
one.
all combined. We have seen them, so it's on the agenda. I should, yeah,
And there's been changes made, so.
yeah, it should be ready for us to give it a nod.
And then, to whom is the crowdfunding policy going again?
What was the crowdfunding?
Oh, we are, yeah, so we're waiting on crowdfunding until we've sorted
Yeah.
out boosters.
Right. Yep. Great. Education Committee met on April 7th.
We did, and we went over a draft policy that has curriculum links, giving sense to policy. And we also had some updates regarding the school start time committee, and the goal for April, May being to convene the school start time advisory group.
Great, thank you. And the next meeting for that is May 8th at 12 p.m. PNN met on November 7th. Their next meeting is still to be determined. Student Wellness Advisory Committee met on January 8th. Their next meeting is May 7th at the SAU office. Do we know the time for that?
I believe they meet at 3 p.m. I
Okay.
have to verify.
So question about the PNN committee. I remember we ran into this last year where, because they don't meet regularly, but then all of a sudden they do, but they don't have a chair, so nobody can call the meeting.
So the chair is just going to be continuing on. And in that case, it was vice chair, MJ was the chair, correct? Yeah. So I think what we'll do is, John is on that committee. Yeah. So since he's in the role of vice chair, he can act as the chair for that committee until you all elect somebody. Probably the do. Yeah.
Can we, can I request that there be, that, I found it very stressful last year to sort of like not know what was going on until abruptly we needed to do a lot of things. Is it possible to just have us have some kind of a meeting
A brief meeting beforehand.
Something so that we can at least just like talk briefly, even if it's at the tail end of something? I mean, I don't care when it is, but
I'll talk to Amy and we'll get
just
scheduled and
I don't
figure out what the
anything.
timeline is. And
Sure.
thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. HACTC met on March 12th. The next meeting is May 6th at HACTC, and I don't know what time that one is either.
That's usually at 11:45.
Okay. Okay. Area Committee met on February 27th, 6 p.m. at LMS. The next meeting is May 20th at Grantham Village School. That is also at 6 p.m. School District City Task Force met on January 23rd at 6 p.m. Did we
We do not have
Okay.
that. I am working with our city manager.
Okay, great. And the Housing Task Force met on, have you met since March 17th?
Nope, but next meeting's April 21st at 8:15 at City Hall.
6:15?
8:15.
8:15.
In the morning.
That's in the morning.
In the morning. 8:15 in the morning. Okay. So we have to have a non-public session at this point. So in order for us to
Sorry,
yes,
legislative's not listed here. Are
Oh.
we meeting at a time?
you have ad hoc meetings. You're going to get together and figure it out.
I'll email you right
Fabulous.
now.
Yeah. Tia's on it. All right. We are going to have a short, well, I don't know if it's short. We're going to have a non-public session and then come back in. In order to go into non-public, we have to have a roll call vote, and I need a motion to go into non-public.
I'll make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A 3(2).
Uh-oh. Last one. L.
L.
L. All right, motion by John. Can I get a second? Second by Richard. Kevin?
Yes.
Jessica? Richard?
Yes.
Tia?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Joe?
Yes.
Harry? Layla?
Yes.
Okay, all right. We will adjourn to non-public and we will return.